Go ahead or start.
Yep, we're all set to go.
Okay, what's going on? What's going on, guys? We are here with our team with Romance and Finance. This is another episode of Romance and Finance. I hope you guys are excited. I'm excited. I'm your host for this evening. My name is Kaylee Smith, aka Mr. Life. I'm your financial service broker, and I'm here with my co-pilots, my co-workers, my colleagues, if you will. And I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Tawana Singleton. I am the financial literacy coach and credit specialist with Legacy Builders.
Yeah, I'm Rashidi Locario. That's me, Legacy Builders, real estate agent, financial strategist, and financial broker.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good.
You're doing
Let's go.
great. Doing great.
Good, good. Okay, good. That's what I'm talking about. So we're gonna get right into it, not waste any time. The topic for tonight is dating unhealed. Oftentimes, when we're in the dating scene, when we're in the dating world, you know, um, it's a question: are we like finished with our last relationship when we're out there? Are we dating casually? Are we dating with intentions? And when we are dating, are we completely healed from our last relationship? These are the things that the other person has to ask, and you yourself have to ask yourself: are you completely over your ex in this process, right? And a lot of times, are we over or are we not? Is there emotional baggage? What's going on? So it's a lot to unpack when we're talking about dating unhealed. So I mean, let's just get right into it. Like I said, how do we kind of I guess detect whether a person is still unhealed from their last relationship? I kind of want to know your guys' thoughts on that.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't really focus on detecting if the person's unhealed. For me, it's
Mhm.
worrying about if I'm healed.
Okay.
'Cause that's where it first starts at. Because it's too hard to detect if someone's healed. It's one of those things where you only know when you're in it. For me, I think it's just like a wound. At the end of the day, when you have a cut, just like a band-aid, you need to actually put Neosporin on there. You can't leave the wound open or else get affected. So it's one of those things where when dating unhealed is like, are you
Mm,
healing? Are you actually taking care of the wound? It's actually okay to date
mm,
while you're unhealed as long as you're healing. You're taking the proper steps to actually heal, meaning that you're dating somebody and you're going through something, that's okay. But as
mm,
long as you're, like I said, taking those steps to actually say, hey, all right, I went through something, I'm going through something, but I'm still growing. I acknowledge I went through something,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm actually still going in the right direction and taking the right process and the right steps because life be lifing. We always going through something at the end of the day. So you just got to be able to make the
mm.
steps and take the steps to actually try to heal.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
What about you?
Um. Yeah. So, some of the signs that I would say is signs if someone is unhealed is when they're always reflecting on the previous relationship,
Mm,
always speaking of the things that happened in the relationship. Um, I feel like the hurt from it would still be there, would still show up in certain conversations um, when you're unhealed. And to even talk about it, some people, without even thinking about acknowledging it, I mean, some people don't even acknowledge that they're not healed. Like some people don't even
mm.
realize they're not healed. So I think that's a thing in itself to even acknowledge if you're healed or not, if you are healed enough to go into another relationship. So that's my thoughts on it.
And when do you guys think that? I guess it's a good barometer to know. Okay, I've been out the game for about 6 months, so I'm ready to date now. I've been out the game for 9 months, so I'm ready to date now. What would you guys say is a good time frame to where you're out of one relationship, but you're now getting into a new relationship, or you're casually dating to look for that new relationship? When do you think is a good time frame to start dating again from the
Um, you
last
know, my
relationship?
Yeah, in my opinion, personally, I think it's not about that. At the end of the day, there is no timeline. It's about acknowledging at the end of the day that you're going through something and you want to address it because there is no real timeline. Because at the end of the day, things happen, and it doesn't have to just be out of a other relationship. You could be going through anything. You could have just lost a job. You could have just lost a loved one. It doesn't have to be just straight relationship, because you know, at the end of the day, we always going through something, and all of those things impact when you're dating. If from a male perspective, if I don't have a job and I'm not confident in myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting myself in certain positions to get another job or XYZ, that's part of me being unhealed. You know what I mean? Versus I'm like, hey, listen, I lost my job, but I'm working on it. I got a game plan. I'm executing that game plan. So I go into the dating world confident.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, in that same scenario, if I had no confidence, I had no game plan, I was unhealed. I wasn't working on a situation. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship thing. It just could be just straight up, what are you going through in life right now? And are you addressing it? Are you acknowledging it? Because a lot of people be in relationships and got a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of traumas from, from family to things we went through from young kids. It's a lot of stuff that a lot of people unhealed from. So it's really about acknowledging what you're not healing, or what you and that you're unhealed, and then from there taking it from there.
Got you. Got you. Yeah, I think a lot of self reflection um plays a big part in it. Understanding, what you went through in your past relationship, to learn from that, to not bring that into the new relationship. So I think some time alone is one of the best things that you can do. As far as the time frame, to your point, I don't believe that there has to be a time frame on it. It's whenever you are ready. you know um but I feel like, a lot of people move too fast, and sometimes you don't know when you're ready or not. You may feel like you're ready, but then you may go out there and start dating and realize, wait a minute, this is too soon. So, there is no real time frame, right? So, but I do believe that within that, whatever that time frame is for you, do a lot of self reflection, spend some time alone. Listen, write some stuff down in the journal, go to therapy, whatever it is that you got to, talk to the right people, whoever you could confide in, to where it can help you get past that threshold of moving forward with your life. So I think that's important.
Right.
I
I would
agree.
also add to that, self love, self care. You know,
Hmm.
self love is, reflecting and doing things that make you happy, because no one can make you happy. You
Hmm.
have to find happiness within yourself, and I've learned that over time. So self-love, self-care, and I agree with both of you guys, like there's really no time frame at all. Each person is different. Each person goes through things differently. What bother me may not bother that person, may not bother you, might not bother Ra, but to me it's like detrimental, so each person is different. So I just wanted to add that onto what you guys were saying.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think it's important too, when it comes to if we're sticking on just being alone for a second. The reason why it's important to get to know yourself better, because you want to know what you are bringing into your next relationship, and the only way that you can do that is when you do truly study yourself, right? Because you don't want to be in a situation where you're getting into a new relationship, kind of like almost like a rebound trap kind of thing, to where you're just getting with this person as a rebound, just to kind of mask and protect that loneliness that you're feeling inside. And there's people out there that does that. So you don't want to start, because it's not fair to the other person. So you get with somebody just to fill that void of loneliness. And a lot of people out there, they do that. So it's important. That's why it's even more important for that self-reflection, for that time alone, to build yourself back up to the point where you need to be, because it's fair to the other person and for yourself to start off that new relationship um brand new. Give yourself an equal opportunity to get to know each other and to build that foundation. But it's going to be hard for you to build that foundation if this person is just strictly there just to fill that void.
So
You
what
know?
about the saying when they say to get over someone is to date someone else?
Yeah.
They say the best way to get over someone is to get with someone else. That like
To
has
get
been
under
the old
somebody
saying
else, right?
forever.
nah, it's a true saying. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that that's part of the process. But ultimately,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you still gotta acknowledge it's a problem. So it's nothing. I don't think is. I don't want to say anything wrong with doing it, as long as you're acknowledging that that's part of the process. Just getting with someone and not paying attention to what the problems are, and you're not acknowledging, then that becomes a problem. But no, you got
Right.
to. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you got to work through those emotions. That's why it is a rebound. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you
Right.
have to rebound. Like it's human nature. You know, no matter what you're
Mhm.
doing in those situations. I mean, I can't speak for y'all, but I mean, if you just go to breakup, the next person you talk to or take semi serious, it is probably going to be a rebound. Can it develop into something very special? Yes, but at the end of the day, it's more than likely going to be a rebound any way you slice it.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Hey T,
Couldn't
our
agree. Yeah,
business
yeah,
partner
that makes sense.
Tiana is online. Sorry, I just wanted to shout her out.
Shout
Hey
out to T. Shout out.
Tiana.
Do we have any comments in the chat? Anything going on in the chats before we move on?
Yeah, Judy
No
said
comments.
dating unhealed means not letting go of painful experiences. Sometimes you're not ready because the trust is not there for that person. It's definitely
Hmm.
a valid point.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's important. Because you can't get into a new relationship and you still having trust issues because once again you're not giving that new person a fair shot.
Ooh,
Hmm.
You
child.
know when because then when will you that new person? You know, and that's part of you being unhealed, and that's why it's important to take that time out to heal. And even to say being healed, it's you just have to be healed enough to have the strength to move on with your life. And
Okay.
that's what it is because it will take time. And if you don't make that step, you technically will you never really would heal if you don't start, talking to somebody else.
Right.
Because even in that process of you talking to somebody else, naturally, you are still going to think about your last relationship to a degree. It doesn't mean that you have an emotional connection to it, but you're still going to naturally think about that last relationship by default because you're talking to somebody new. Yeah, if that makes sense, right? So you just have to be healed enough to move on with your life. And I think that's like I said, it's a gauge for everyone because everybody's different. So everybody's timeline, is different. Now, do you think that there should be certain boundaries that's set in just in the dating world in general? As far as conversation, communication, what should be told to this new person? How soon should this new person get information? What is there any boundaries that should be set when it comes to dating?
Let me tell y'all something. Let me speak first
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
we've kind of touched on this in past, previous podcasts and stuff. And I will tell you guys that you and Kay, like Ryan K, I've been like taking some of y'all tips y'all been talking about with men and
Yeah.
Hmm.
using them in the dating scene. Like I really believe like one thing. So when you talk about boundaries, and I remember specifically some things that you guys had said in the past about how women tend to just tell everything. So
Hmm.
men like know what to do and know what to say because we done
Hmm.
told everything. So
Hmm.
like I find myself being mindful of that now. Like not speaking about trauma as much or what I've been through. Definitely not in the beginning stages of dating and stuff like that. It's just like getting to know someone a little bit more. But I think like you said, that for me sticks out as far as a boundary is not sharing so much information so that the guy won't use it, take your vulnerability and use it to benefit him, especially if he doesn't have anything, if he's not honest and truth about where he wants to go with you in that relationship.
Okay,
That's
that's a
one
good
for me.
point.
Good
Hmm.
point. That's valid.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I guess my question is for any y'all though. Like, when did y'all ever date unhealed? Because I mean, we be giving out this advice though, but
Mm.
I'm here to hear when did we all date unhealed?
It's a
I
good
I
question.
I feel like I've dated
Go ahead,
unhealed.
T.
I feel like I've dated unhealed. I mean, I could just honestly say my last one was more of an unhealed thing. Relationships prior to my last relationship have been breakups, just like on a, it has been, I don't want to say a mutual breakup, but it wasn't like on no cheating or hurting. It was more like a fall out of love type of thing. It's just
Hmm.
like we just grew apart from each other. So I
Hmm.
don't feel like any relationship prior to my last one was things that a trauma that I've been through for me.
Okay.
Just speaking for myself, just my last one has been that was more, heartbreaking for me. So like now it's more like dating where, getting over the hurt or whatever, which I feel like I'm in a better place. But previous to that, I didn't have any trauma. I think it was more of a like separation or any type of thing like that. Like we grew apart for
Yeah.
me. I don't know about anybody else. Y'all definitely drop y'all comments in there. We want to hear from everybody, not just us
For
on the
sure,
on
for
the
sure. Yeah.
panel.
Yeah.
So if y'all have y'all comments, anything y'all want to put in there, please put it in the comments.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I mean, being unhealed, it's a real thing. I mean, it's important to understand the danger of dating while being unhealed. Because one, you're not being true to yourself. You're not being true to the person you're with. You know, and we all human, so we make mistakes, so we all grow from it. I think it's just understanding and growing from it itself. Um, you know, I say for myself personally, I remember when I was a young father, becoming a fresh father, I wasn't quite healed. At 24, 25, when I had my first son, I felt like I was part of a special crowd where I wasn't necessarily, a dude that had 8 million kids. Because, my generation, most dudes had like 5 or 6 kids. Most of my friends had 5 or 6 kids at that time. So I was like, man, listen, no kids. I'm 24, 25, getting everything going. And then, so, and I had a kid, and, the situation didn't work out in terms of that. But that was an unhealed stage in my life. You know what I mean? Because now I was getting used to the fact of being a father and dating with a child. And I'll be honest, that's probably my weakest moment in life itself. And I was unhealed at that time because I'll be honest, the not the rebound, but one of the women I was dating at the time, you know what I mean? Like it was a little different. I was doing things that was out of my character. Where in terms of trying to navigate and acknowledging that, like, hey, I'm a new father and it's okay to be a new father. I didn't know how to navigate that, and I didn't address it. So that played out in the relationship in the end, where it didn't work out, and everything happens for a reason. But
Mhm.
dating unhealed, that definitely plays a role because that led to, like, 2-3 years of being in a relationship where it didn't pan out. Part of it on my end of not acknowledging that I had a problem and the understanding of being a new father and dating.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's deep. Even on my end, yeah, I dated Unhealed, once, years. This is years ago. But I was divorced. So when I got divorced, it's a process. You go through your separation, and then even with the separation, that takes time, right? So I started dating while I was like, separated before the divorce was technically completely official. But still, when you separate, you could be separated for years, which I was, right? So, got back on the dating scene, but it was the idea, once again, like I was saying earlier, of me talking to somebody new and still realizing, okay, I was with this person for 10 years.
Mm.
So me talking to somebody new now, it's just like I'm literally starting from scratch. And then I'm trying to adjust to this person's lifestyle. This person, she had children as well, right? So kind of adjusting to that, and then also at the same time still trying to understand my new life now, if that makes sense, right? So it was a conflict between the two. So, but I got it together. But it was tough. It was tough. Mentally, it was emotionally, it was draining. You know, but overall, like I would say that it's still, you have to make sure that you have enough strength to actually make that happen. Because it's, to our points earlier, it won't be fair to the other person. Like, I still make sure I did my job of still giving my new relationship the attention that it deserved, and not worry about what I was going through, because it's still a process, and it's something that you have to deal with internally. But it's something that, once again, if you don't have the strength to actually move on with your life, don't put yourself in that position, because you can jeopardize what you have going on with your current relationship, and it won't be fair to that person. You know?
Yeah, it was deep. It was
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah.
That's true. True. And I definitely can relate to you, Kay.
Hmm.
You know, after being divorced and dating, and start just every little thing is just like, okay, red flag, red flag, red flag. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm not ready for this yet. Cause I'm like, every little thing, the slightest thing is like, yeah, that nope, I'm not about to do that. I'm about to do that. So that's how I knew I was unhealed. And I've been very transparent about that as well,
Mm-hmm.
dating and being unhealed and saying how I'm probably just not ready for a relationship yet because I was still going through the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's a couple of comments here on Instagram. Shout out to the 24 Shadow, who said previously, dating while unhealed is not a good look for you or your partner because it becomes like a burdensome situation. Facts.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also said dating unhealed will hold you two back from the potential relationship you guys could have if you guys went into it healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's true. I agree
Yeah,
with that.
Hmm.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be healthy. I mean, damage people.
Yep.
Right.
That's a
Hurt
real
people.
thing. you
Mm-hmm.
know, so
Right. Right.
it's just something that you got to acknowledge and all that type of stuff. I mean, the other thing I want to get into is though, like, to your point earlier on, Kareem, how can you tell someone is not healed, and what do you do about it? Because we've all seen those signs too. You know what I mean? Where we in relationships and you with a significant other, and they just act certain difference. They have certain traumas, like you said, they bring in stuff from past relationships, past traumas, and we got to realize though, like a lot of people have stuff from their own core, from even from an upbringing from a child. It's stuff that's like built in you that you may not even realize is a problem.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's one of those things where one of the solutions is that you got to actually pay attention to these signs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? As big as you know, just your family structure. Do you have parents? Is there a missing parent? All
Mm-hmm.
those stuff play a role. You know what I
Ab-
mean? From a male perspective, did he have a father? Did he have male leadership if he didn't have a father?
mm-hmm.
From a woman's perspective, did she have a father? You know what I mean? That plays major roles in how these relationships interact at the end of the day. And at
Mm-hmm.
some point, we all have to grow up and face the music. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't face the music.
Yeah.
You got a lot of people running around out here unhealed and just continuing to damage people and damage themselves, and it gets crazy. And I mean, we in finances too, so it could cost you money in all those type of situations where
Absolutely.
All
you're
right. Let's
building with the
talk
wrong
about it.
people. Yeah, you're building with the wrong people, and it's costing you money financially.
Mm-hmm.
You're moving in apartments. You're messing up each other's credit. you know
Facts.
what I mean? Like taking risks
Wrap
that
up.
you shouldn't be taking. You know what I mean? The blind leading the blind. It's a real
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Right, right. And to your point is, dating unhealed, the problem from it, like you said with finances, you are just trying to fill a void
Mm-hmm.
that
Hmm.
you're missing when you're not paying attention to that. Cuz what if you're dating someone who's just pleasing the desires of the flesh, and like you said, not good with finances.
Mm-hmm.
Always they wind up being the one holding you back, messing up each other's credit, not building each other up, you know, speaking about goals, speaking about, investments and stuff that's gonna help you build. And
Hmm.
people, tend to date based off of just feelings and emotions these days, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. No, that's real, and it's important to differentiate, like genuine attraction versus like an emotional distraction.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's important to really understand that, right? There's a lot of different signs for someone who's on hill. Pay attention to them. Like if you cut they because you're gonna compare your current partner to your last partner, and some do it out loud, and some do it discreetly. You gotta, but either way, it's comparison. They're gonna do it, right?
Right.
Then there's the trust issues, right? If it's hard for you to trust that new person that you're with, and yes, it takes time to build that trust with that person, yes. But if you're not even giving yourself the opportunity to trust that person, or giving them the benefit of the doubt, then that's another red flag. And then there's a certain level of emotional unavailability to where you have this guard up, you have this wall to where you never truly want to open up to that person. And why you don't want
Hmm.
to open up to that person? Because you're still, going off of the experience from your last relationship, thinking that this person, this new person, is going to be just like that old person. So these are some of the signs that people are still healing. you know
Yeah.
So
That's
let's
it.
let's talk about solutions,
Hmm.
right? So we bring up a topic, we talking about the problems, the issues, the pros,
Mhm.
the cons. So what's some solutions to help us or help others in this journey when dating unhealed on
Um,
the relationship side and the financial side of it?
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think the relationship side of it is we got to stop picking up red flags and ignoring red flags, and turning red flags into green flags or yellow sign flags. Like you know what I mean? That's the big one right there. Because a lot of times we be in these situations and we make excuses and for other people's behaviors and things like that. So it's just like once you realize it's an actual issue, you got to have a sit down and address it. And whatever the result is, you got to be willing to accept that result. A lot of times, we don't like to face the music. We don't want
Right.
that person to say the wrong thing, and we're scared to face that this person might say the wrong thing. But if you address it, and they're like, "All right, screw you, I'm leaving." You don't want to face that. So I think the first thing is just being brave is the first step at the end of the day. And at the financial standpoint of it, you got to protect yourself at the end of the day. If you're living together, whatever the case is, you're building together, you got to protect yourself financially. Where at least if this doesn't work out, I can bounce back, or if this doesn't work out, I can find my way. I'll give a quick example because we're pressed for time. I mean, we make the dumb decisions when you're unhealed and you're dealing emotional. I mean, one time in my tender young age, I was unhealed dating somebody, and I had had my own apartment, broke up, got back. I'm not a break up, get back type of guy, but it happened. You know what I mean? Broke up, had my own spot, whatever case is. You know what I mean? Turned into an on and off thing. And I had like 4 months left on my lease. And I was like, "God, just move back in with me." And on some silliness, I just broke my lease and moved in with it. Now, I'm not even a move-in guy with somebody. You know what I mean? Like that's not even my style. And so I had left my place in a 4 months remaining on the lease and accumulated a $6,000 debt.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? I was
Whoa.
living life like it never happened. Of course, this is years later and that's cleaned up now. That's why we in credit, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, though, it cost me 6 grand. And the end, we didn't work out anyway.
Wow.
So the point is,
Wow.
though, you gotta acknowledge it. But that was a big learning experience. Is understanding that once you make these mistakes, you just gotta learn from it. And that's what
Right.
life is about. Was just learning lessons. I learned my lesson in that situation. From that point, I would never put myself in that situation ever again in life, and I never did. When I look back at it, it's funny. You know what I mean? But it was part of the process. It made you stronger. But it was like, wow, I was out of control at this time. Like, what was I thinking?
Mm. Yeah. And I think a big solution is that to your point, for when you're by yourself and you're healing, when you're going through that process, don't just heal emotionally. Make sure that you are building up financially too. Just make sure you're saving your money. Make sure that you're fixing your while you're by yourself, because while you have less distractions, it's sometimes it is just you. I mean, you may have children as well. Outside of the children, you take care of the children, it's just you. So just make sure that you're actually building up financially by, once again, making sure that you're fixing your credit, you're saving your money.
Mhm.
You're setting certain goals for yourself while
Right.
you're by yourself, because once you do that, you put yourself in a position to when you are ready to date, you're going to attract that new person that you become. So just make sure that you do that. Make sure that when it comes to the finances, make sure you save your money and you fixing up your credit, and whatever goals that you have set, make sure you accomplish those goals. You know?
Mhm.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that point up because, when you think about on top of you being unhealed and emotional and stuff like that, adding the stress of not being financially stable is a
Hmm.
whole nother
Mhm.
aspect of being stressed, period. Like your life, I don't care what nobody say, when your finances is not good, everything is thrown off.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like because you're so concerned about probably trying to get out of debt or how you're going to pay this or how you're going to pay that. And I think that would be a good focus point for you too, like you said, saving and budgeting and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Set short-term goals for yourself, financially. Do something for you. A lot
Hmm.
of times we're in relationships, if you're a giver or if you're a pleaser, you want to make sure that the partner is always okay, always putting yourself on the back burner. So focus on you. And I will not let this call end without telling people, if you are unhealed, please get to know Jesus. Please get to know God. You know, there's
Hmm.
voids that we're trying to fill in this world that are just temporary fixes. God
Hmm.
gives us the living water. God gives us that peace that surpasses all understanding, right? Like sometimes you can be going through things and it's not as hard as it would be for someone else who doesn't know him, right? So you can just, not that you won't have struggles or trials or tribulations, but the healing process is a lot better with him than without him.
Yeah.
One
And,
thousand.
and to add to that, what I'm going to say too is, don't just go to Jesus. Get therapy. Talk to
Yes,
other people. Because
yes,
I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of people out here that just rely on Jesus. And listen, if you ain't hearing the message the right way, you can go to church every Sunday and you ain't healing nothing. So first off,
true. Yes,
we got insurance out here. Most insurance companies give you about 6 therapy sessions. Take yourself to therapy. You know
true,
what I mean? Like,
true.
it's needed.
Absolutely,
And talk to
absolutely.
people that actually, have experience, your elders, your parents, and XYZ, because we're not in this by ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, therapy is a real thing for real. Like, at the end of the day, I had 1 or 2 sessions in the course of life. As a black man in America, I never wanted to go to therapy, but it was 2 seconds. I was like, let me check myself out, because I'm a little desensitized to certain things based on my background. Just turned
Right.
out, based on the therapist, I'm just a jerk, for lack of better words. They said I was good, but the point is, I went ahead and got that done at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So, but I would definitely say that a combination of all the above. Talk to your elders, talk to people you trust. Go to church and get therapy at the same time.
Amen. Amen.
What I would say is that all of those things, including time. So just repeat those things, do those things over and over, and
Mm.
within a certain time frame. That's what's going to produce the healing. Is you constantly, getting tapped in with your spirituality, right? Going to therapy, connecting with people who you can confide in, right? So these things are super important. Go to the gym, make sure keeping up with
Mhm.
yourself, right? Keeping up with your health, all of these things cut together, like Tawana was saying, savings, budget, and all of these things are what aligns your life together. So make sure that you're keeping up with those things and do it repetitively. And that's what's
Mhm.
going to bring you closer to that healing process, right? So, with
Yeah.
that being said, I know we got some events coming up, right, guys? You guys want to
Yeah.
touch on that real quick?
I would say probably just want to touch through some of the comments real quick, just to
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that.
before we do that.
Let's do that.
So I mean, yeah, I guess I'll read a couple of them out.
Hmm.
Nasut said he here for support. Appreciate you, Nasut. I know I'm pronouncing that name wrong. Um, Tiana, we see trust is definitely a big factor. Absolutely. Rashida seconded therapy is a must. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And then Tiana said, Julio Kari, a lack of communication will definitely destroy a relationship. Creating comfortable spaces are also important to allow your partner to be vulnerable, and she agrees, because Judy did also say that too as well. And then also Rashida said, get to know yourself better and do some work on yourself. Love is the best love. Self love is the best love, which is very true. You know what I mean? All those statements are real true. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I
absolutely.
don't know if you guys got any more on your end.
Nope, that's it.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, the events, like you were saying, Kate.
Yeah, so we have an event coming up this Saturday, right? We're having it's our home buyer seminar in Stamford, Connecticut, and you can go on the Eventbrite and you can go on our website,
Yes.
www.legacybuildersus.com. That is www.legacybuildersus.com, and get your ticket. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have our brokers, our real estate brokers, our credit specialists, your life insurance brokers. We're going to have different keynote speakers, some light refreshments. It's going to be from 1 to 4 p.m. and it's 2777. What was the name of that street?
Summer.
Summer
Summer,
Street
Summer Street, yes.
in
In
Stamford.
Stamford, Connecticut, from 1 to 4 p.m. Make sure you guys, if even if you yourself, if you know somebody in Stamford or Bridgeport, Connecticut, or even in Jersey and New York, come out, have a good time. It's not that far, and we will see you guys Saturday, at
Yeah.
1 p.m.
And
Anything else?
it is a free event.
Yes,
And
Right.
also bring your kids, even if you don't have a babysitter. We believe in
Mm-hmm.
bringing our children into these type of events
Absolutely.
So that they can see what we're doing. We want to plant those
Mhm.
seeds early in their minds, right? So don't hesitate to bring your children out. If you don't have a babysitter, it's fine. Bring them with you. Let them see what it is that you're learning, and teach them at a young age. We want to break those generational cycles and build legacies even at a younger age. Let's get their mindset right now.
Hmm. And
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
I'd last thing I'd say in honor of romance and finance and the finance piece, go to www.legacybuildersus.com so we can get you financially right. So if you're in a relationship and you break up, you can actually leave. That's something we ain't touched on today. Like where people are staying together because they can't afford to go nowhere else. So go to our website
That's a
so you
good
get
one.
that plan together so you can actually leave.
Yeah.
That
100%.
is true. That's
Yeah.
true. Okay.
Definitely.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and you guys have a good night.
Have a good night.
Mm.